Hey, what's up, everybody? It's me, Danae, and I'm here with a message for you. Hope you all are doing well. Hello, 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 beautiful people. I'm back for another one on this fine Monday. Hope that your first full week in the new year is off to a prosperous start, productive, that you're feeling energized to move forward on new endeavors, new projects, with new people. You know, that whatever it is that you fancy in this here 2025 jump off, kickoff is happening in exactly the timing and in the frequency that it should. Okay, so I'm going to get started. These cards, of course, are going to take a little time for me to really get used to. By the time they get warmed up to my hands officially, they'll be starting to crack up again, and it'll be time for a new set. So, you know, it is what it is. Let me turn up my little light here, try to get as much light as possible, because I did realize that the cards were coming up pretty dark on the table. And this new contraption that I have is absolutely amazing. Like, I don't know where it's been all my life, but I'm very thankful for it because of the visibility of the screen that I can see on my side, where I can keep track of time much better, and also the wide range of visual that it can pick up on the table. But the ring light that's attached to it is really not all that great. And I packed up my big ring light because I really was honestly quite thankful to kind of move it out the way, because it's such an obstruction. If you know, you know, when you're not actually recording. I was happy that this little one here was so compact and easy to kind of, you know, move out of the way, or just stay out of the way generally. But I might have to bust it back out, because I know that it's not visually pleasing to not be able to see what's going on down here on the table. So again, bear with me as I kind of get my bearings straight for this new setup. And also stay tuned, because I got some new cards coming, and I'm really excited to share some new and fresh energy on the channel. Okay, so just hang in there with me, if you will, while I get it together for the 2-5. And if I gotta bust it out, I might just have to bust it back out and deal with it being in my eyesight when I don't want it to be. So we'll see. But anyway, let's see what we got on the bottom. 8 of Cups. And slipping out on the back end is the Knight of Cups. Let me bring it up a little bit. Yeah, that's good. Is the Knight of Cups. So someone is walking away to make an offer somewhere else, leaving a lot behind. I'm getting to take make a sincere approach is what I hear. I don't know, the last couple of readings I've been feeling different energy from the Knights. I don't know what that's about, because you know, typically I don't really give the Knights but so much grace. I give them just enough as what they're worth, but something feels interesting about this to me. The 8 of Cups is definitely someone leaving a lot behind that they've invested a long time or a lot of energy into. And given that the Knight of Cups was kind of like halfway peeking out, I don't know, it might be like An unexpected departure is what I'm hearing. Somebody, I want to say secretive or secret, but I don't know if it's as much that as it is someone just, it could be. I feel that though. If it's not someone trying to be sneaky and, sneak off or be, I don't get that. That's what I don't get. I get that somebody is just moving on and they're not really broadcasting their moves or their intentions. They don't even feel a need to, is what I'm picking up here. It's like somebody just knows, like, it's given that type of energy where it's like someone is checked out emotionally of a place and a space. And with this Eight of Cups, it's like it at this point of their resolve, it doesn't seem to matter or make much difference to announce their position. It's kind of like, would whomever you would announce it to really understand or give you their blessing or their grace or their best wishes anyway? Or would they even allow you to leave peacefully at all, is what I'm sensing. It's like somebody, it's not really a sneak away, but it's kind of like, what's the point of me saying, hey, I'm a head out, y'all? It's like, just go ahead and pack it up. It could even literally be somebody packing up and just being ghost or gone out of range from what they used to be connected to, or maybe to whom they were connected to, or who they were once accessible to at a time, realizing that there's some lack of fulfillment there always with the Eight of Cups. There's some realization and acceptance of where there may be more to be desired, and instead of trying to hold that space, whatever it is, place, person, thing, hostage, to almost kind of like force satisfaction or fulfillment, it's accepting accountability and responsibility for that for yourself, and saying, okay, if this relationship isn't giving what I desire anymore, or is not giving what I'm giving, then I'll just go. If this friendship, if this job, if this partner, it literally could be, damn, in that case, it's like, shoot, it still doesn't feel sneaky, but it's like, damn, imagine somebody just getting up one day. Well, it's not even a one day thing, because this is well thought out and considered with all these cups. The Eight of Cups is like somebody has thought this out and come to a sound decision. So imagine like being 100% resolved in that intention for yourself, but nobody knows it but you, really. And there, I feel torn in that regard, because sometimes that can leave unfinished business behind, but I don't feel that though. That's the strange thing. Like, it may be unfinished for whatever is being left behind, where others may not be accepting or understanding of why it had to be the way that it is. But for me, I don't know why, in the sense of these cards anyway, it feels like somebody has just made up their mind and to follow their heart. That's what it's given. That's what it's given in a nutshell. And rather than try to explain that, and maybe even feeling they may have to defend it to those that may not understand it or support it, it's like they rather save themselves the trouble and just go. you know? Wow. That's an interesting way to start. And again, like there's a certain sincerity that I feel in how this person is moving forward from that decision, or is at least willing to move forward. And I feel like it may be a Knight because it's kind of like a new journey where there's nothing that can be, with the Eight of Cups, there's no guarantees. You know, you would want for that next step to be your wish fulfillment at the Nine of Cups, but this is really taking a leap of faith that with no guarantee, whatever it is that you're leaving behind, there has to be greater and better beyond what you're leaving behind, is what I'm trying to say. And this Knight could be so because there's a certain emotional protectiveness, maybe even defensiveness, that someone is still moving forward with because of how much they invested themselves here and in the Eight of Cups with, you know, an imbalanced or some type of void in return, usually with the Eight of Cups. So that's what the Knight is representing. Like someone has the sincerity in their heart to move forward and to perhaps pledge themselves, commit themselves, or at least offer and open themselves up to potential love connection, or just to be vulnerable and maybe even optimistic about what the future holds, even if we're not talking relationship, although that's kind of how I've been spinning it. It's a certain willingness to be vulnerable here, within reason, again, because it is the Knight, which gives a certain layer of defense or protectiveness, but still open nonetheless. I think says a lot when you're coming off of an Eight of Cups point of decision, where someone had to be brave to walk away from something that could have been comfortable, could have been familiar. There could have been a lot of strings attached to it in some way. They could have been deeply committed, or at least connected to. It's hard to kind of detangle yourself from connections such as that, especially when there's an imbalance and there's no one at this point or before this point that you feel you can relate enough to that would either understand your point of view and maybe be able to kind of meet you where you are, wherever that void may be, or at least to wish you well. Because like I said, this is someone that doesn't even feel like they would be well understood to share why they gotta go. They just gotta go. You know? But let's see what else we got. I'm gonna put that back and let's just start from scratch on that, because that was a whole saga. Let's see where this is going. All right. Chariot. Wow. Well, this, like I said, this is someone who's definitely strong in their ambition, strong-willed at this point. Like they know what they want. They know they're sure of what they want. They have the confidence to go for it, or at least have gathered the strength and the confidence and the will to move beyond where they are. Because the Chariot, that's like the general. We just went from the humble Knight of Cups to the Chariot, who's a seasoned warrior that, is not really afraid of what challenges they may meet because they've already faced enough adversary. Is that right? Adversity. Adversity in their most recent past, or in their past in general. Maybe over the course of a lifetime, somebody's faced so much adversity that it's built a strength and a resilience in them that Eight of Cups can sometimes, that Eight of Cups can sometimes be like that activation of, how can I say it? It's like when you have the strength suddenly to choose yourself, and what you need and what you desire and what you want is prioritized in a way that maybe, was sacrificed in the past. That the motivation, that's probably why it's such a jump from the Knight of Cups to straight to the Chariot, because sometimes that's all the motivation you need to never look back. Like sometimes it's just a matter of getting over that hump of walking away from things, people, places, and things that you never could have imagined yourself doing so before. From the familiar, let's just generalize it, from the familiar, and even maybe even from a comfort zone. And it's like sometimes all it takes to really activate the samurai warrior in you is to take that step away without feeling apologetic, or without feeling like you have to explain or check in or any of that. Like, it's such a confidence booster to step out on faith in a way where there's nothing, where you are the primary, how can I say it, like where your well-being is paramount, where it's like, this is a move or a step for me. And sometimes that can activate so much strength and courage in someone that it already clearly was resident in. Like, this is saying that energy was already existing, but sometimes it can be dormant when you're in spaces and places that don't support that, don't fuel it, and sometimes in places that suppress it altogether. So anyway, I'm saying all that to say is that it just seems like somebody's energy, confidence boost, either has been, or if this is, something relatable, may be activated and amplified just on account of making that step in a direction that is strictly for you. And if it's a contemplation about whether or not that a step such as that should be taken, then this is your sign to know that yes, it should be. If you feel the need to make a certain move, and there seems to be so many different considerations around that direction outside of yourself, you really have to kind of simplify it back down to one. This is the season for that. It's been the season for that if you haven't done so already. But if there's any consideration about it at this point, especially in this new year where there's so many, like I was saying in the beginning, like, I hope that you're motivated and inspired and activated to do everything that your heart desires. Then it's not the time to be held back by anything or anyone. certainly not in any contempt for the sheer idea of you prioritizing yourself and your personal needs first and foremost. And that is not just about material things. It's actually, material would be the last on the list. I'm talking, we started with cups, so emotional well-being is paramount in this season. How are you feeling? How are you not feeling about yourself, around others, doing certain things with certain energies in your space, in certain places? Like, that's the first stop to wellness now. Yeah, and so for Eight of Cups to be our leading energy, it's time to either release things that are taking up energetic space, maybe even leaving emotional residue that is unpleasant, and to really kind of take that cup as the Knight of Cups does. And even if it's just you taking that cup away to be with yourself, that's fine too, but there's still being a willingness and an openness to kind of see what else there is, what else life has to offer. I feel is healthy in your direction, in your move away or your move forward. And this, to me, the Chariot is not only signifying a certain strength and amplification of confidence and will, it's also signifying a win and success in that right. So, wow. Because here we are with the Ten of Swords. It's like the end of sabotage and betrayal from the inside out and the outside in. And I'm not even going to harp on this energy, but this is what has been overcome with the Chariot card here on the table and the Ten of Swords under the deck. It's like people are finally finding the victory in prioritizing themselves and seeing the value of that, seeing how everybody wins, actually. Everyone that you could possibly care about and that cares about you wins when you take care of yourself first and fully, not just, being selfish and in a diabolical sense where nothing and no one else matters, but certainly not sacrificing the things that absolutely do matter to you for the sake of anything else or anyone else. This is the 10 that's over. There's no victory in that. There's no reward in that. There never really was, in the short term or the long term, but certainly not even most immediately. Like, the only person that loses in that situation is he who falls on his own sword, in this case, meaning the one who sacrifices or martyrs themselves, himself or herself. Wow, look at this here. Exactly. That's it. And this is a regression with the Nine of Swords. That's all that can be looked forward to, is moving backwards, not toward a completion and an ending, but almost like regressing back into a cycle of despair and unfulfillment and anxiety, maybe even depression. There's been a certain victory that should have been claimed over that. Now, it depends on who I'm talking to here. Like, if there's any residue of that, sleepless nights and longing and unrest, it may be on account of what is still being allowed to linger in that Eight of Cups. Or let's take it back to the Seven of Cups, which we didn't see, but that's what precedes the Eight, is in like this delusion or confusion, not knowing what to choose, particularly not knowing what to choose for yourself, and illusions about reality, self-imposed or absorbed. You know what I mean? That's what precedes the Eight of Cups. So if there is any of this still happening, then there might be some of that still happening, you know, where there's some opportunity for choices, life-defining choices to be made. And some of the decisions may not be super easy, you know, but like I was saying before, those tough decisions are only hard until you actually make it. Like when you make that step in what you feel is a positive direction, sometimes that's all the fuel you need to kind of almost catapult you ahead, literally going from the Knight of Cups to the Chariot, who's facing forward in confidence and strength, victorious, ready to take on the next challenge. Actually feeling invincible, like, you know, like there is no real challenge after you've gotten over that hump. Sometimes that is the biggest hump for we humans that have been conditioned a certain way, is to really prioritize our well-being, not just like the commercialized idea of that, you know, of self-care and self-love and da, but like really in the clutch and in the pinch, who do you choose? You know, it's not easy, but it certainly is necessary. Yeah, and here is the Hangman, which is that moment of enlightenment that you are either calling in or in need of. You know? Yeah. When you're in that state of consideration and contemplation, you know, of what you should do. But this is also, again, a nod to self-sacrifice, you know, or martyrdom in the lower vibration, I would say. In the highest vibration, it's being surrendered to what is necessary, again, to be in the most enlightened state of self. Calling in that clarity, and then having the courage to react and respond to it. That's a very opposite energy in the highest vibration than, you know, kind of living in worry and fear and anxiety about what the future holds, or what if I do this or if I do that, then what happens? What if I, you know, what will I lose? What will I gain? You know what I mean? But it's usually more about what will you lose when you're in that much stress and strife at the Nine of Swords. Unless you're worried about what's coming to you on account of, I don't know. Let's move on. As you can see, whoa. Oh man, them cards went clear behind the thing. Wow. And we got the Page of Pentacles in the reverse. I was just about to say, as you can see, I'm trying to keep this reading in the highest vibration, but something's trying to pull it down. Hold on one second. Let me try to get these cards. I had a fear that was going to happen one of these days, because these things are so slippery. But I didn't think it was going to go this way. I thought it would go the other way. Wow, we got the moon and the Ace of Cups. I'm not going to take those because they were kind of scattered, and one was going one way, one was going the other way, so I can't legitimately say what direction I would take them in. But this definitely is speaking to something mysterious, some mysterious emotion and fear. That's what it's really speaking to. Because if I'm honest, they were kind of like, they were kind of weird. But if I had to legitimately say, this Ace of Cups was almost reversed. So the Moon card and the Ace of Cups reversed, or even questionable, is actually speaking against everything that I'm saying about the purity of self-love and self-care and even management at this point, like really taking care of you in a high vibrational way. Like there's something, and the Page of Pentacles reverse is bad news. Like, I don't think I rarely have the pages reversed, to be honest. And what is given is that with the Nine of Swords, sometimes in the Nine of Swords, you can almost bring about an outcome that you are obsessing over or fixated on. You can almost kind of magnetize that to yourself by your thoughts. And that's what these energies are representing. And then with these two questionable cards here, like somebody's in some let's say, because what did we start with? We started with what was it again? I know it was the Knight of Cups. Oh, the Eight of Cups. Yeah. So this really just could be someone, you know what I just got? This is showing the disparity of those that don't take that leap. This is what those that decide that it's better to be in a place that is familiar, however unsavory and unsatisfying it may be. It's best to be in this is like jail now that I'm looking at it. The Chariot and the Nine of Swords. It's like some people would rather take their chances in the familiar than to take the chance to explore the unknown. That's what this was with this reversed. Some don't have the strength or don't see the value in that ambiguity. That's sad. They don't see that for themselves more than the I can't even say comfort, I guess just complacency that they feel, at least knowing the hell that they're already in. Pretty much. Like, it's like somebody that would be willing to stay in a living hell before they would take the mystical journey to any idea of heaven or fulfillment, at least. Again, that Eight of Cups in search of the Nine of Cups, just for fear of the unknown on that path, of what is hidden or what could be lurking in the dark. Or really, it's a personal thing about, it feels like that, like not really having the confidence to validate themselves. Yeah, literally not seeing the value in themselves to sustain that journey of mystery. That's sad. So that's what this is. It's like something breaking through that wants to make its presence known, I guess, or just to, you know, exemplify the other side of the coin, literally, no pun intended, with the Page of Pentacles, that there is the potential and the possibility for a win and success and victory on the other side of that decision, but the hope of that simply just isn't enough for some. Which is why it does take a great deal of strength and courage and will, as a Chariot exemplifies, to make that leap. And I can't help but circle back around to why I was saying, like, sometimes all you got to do is just put that best foot forward. And the thing that seemed the hardest to do, like leave, like walk away, like break up, like quit, you know, like stop doing a thing, stop thinking away, you know, stop a habit, cut off a dependency, you know what I mean? Like the thing that you think you feel you when you think about it, it's like, how could I ever, you know, that be the thing that will literally like quantum leap you from distress to, I don't know, what's another D word for dynamic? From a distress to dynamic. I don't know. That doesn't feel good enough to me. Like, what's the opposite of distress? I got time. Let me look it up here. Because that's what that Nine of Swords is giving me. Like, distress of the worst kind. Let's see. Delight. Love it. That's the opposite word. And so many other wonderful words with that. Advantage, happiness, health, joy, calmness, comfort, contentment, ease, euphoria, gladness, peace, pleasure, relief, benefit, miracle. Literally, miracle is one of the words that's anti-distress. So imagine there being the potential for all of that on the other side of just one seemingly simple, however we know it can be quite serious or complicated at times, decision. And somebody will be willing to settle for ache, affliction, anxiety, suffering, dejection, trial, tribulation, disappointment, discomfort, embarrassment, headache, irritation, bad news. Said that one. This is all the synonyms for distress. Misery, mortification, Jesus Christ, shame, sadness, perplexity. No thank you. Now, maybe it was meant like for me to really break that down so that it can be understood, like what the two sides of the coins. And look at this, how I'm picking up the deck with the Five of Cups. This is, oh my gosh, this is depression at its worst in the way that I'm speaking of it. This is what is the return on sacrificing self in this season, and also having no one to blame but self for it. You won't be able to, in another 5 or 10 years, say, well, I stayed because of you and now my life is shit. Nope, you stayed because that's what you decided to do. Or I gave this job the best years of my life and this is all the thanks I get. Well, you had opportunities to explore other options and you decided not to. You know, I've been nothing but loyal to this friend group. Been given, I take the shirt off my back for anyone here. Well, if that's your choice and that's why you're naked now, sir. You know, because everybody has a choice. So, it suddenly got a little weird, right? I tried to keep it up, right? And we got the Knight of Wands, who, if nothing else, is at least ambitious and for his own agenda. Let's say that, good, bad, or indifferent. And in this case, there might be some value in that here. And with the leading with the Knight of Cups in the beginning, sincerely though, and purely, without perversion, to kind of like reclaim your personal power, kind of take the reins back over your life and demand some desirable return. That's what I'm getting from that. Not just pleasure seeking, you know, certainly not just that, because that doesn't really lead. When I'm saying, you know, prioritizing your desires and, you know, your well-being and all that is certainly not perverted pleasure seeking, because that is not sustainable. It might be immediately gratifying, but it doesn't have a long-term sustenance. Let's see what's on the bottom. Wow, and here's the conflict here with the Five of Wands. Yeah, some folks are just headed in the wrong direction, or they have either overstayed their welcome in dynamics that are not productive. It's like the handwriting's been on the wall to kind of see your way out. And at this point, I'm one of those that would believe it's never too late, more or less, to, like I said, at least make a step in a positive direction. But for some, it's like you stay so long that now this is what you got to contend with on your way out. This is that fight that I was talking about earlier, where homeboy at the Eight of Cups is like, what am I going to tell them that they're going to listen to or be understanding of or give their support on? You know what I mean? It's like, this is not an understanding group. Everybody in this crew is out for their own best interest and may even object on account of how they feel they may be missing out from an absence or from someone changing some aspects of their behavior or their interest or their ambitions, you know. So certainly you couldn't stick around a group like that and try to be brand new. You know, ain't no new year, new you that doesn't directly benefit a crew like that. So you could just forget that, you know, which is why there's so much anxiety, I understand, about making a big decision to move on, because of all that just inevitably has to be left behind. And as I said, in some cases, some folks may have stayed too long and raised the level of difficulty for that disconnection at this point, where you have to kind of fight your way out. Ain't no sneaking out. You know what I mean? Like, I literally just heard blood in, blood out. And you literally run the risk of a fight for your own independence the moment you even try to slip by the door or slip out the door. And this but even still, it'd be worth the step at this rate, because who wants to spend another year or 2 or 3 or 5 or 10 in this energy where you have to always be on guard? You have to fight for your spot, fight for, to be protective over everything that you do. Not even just protective. That's more paranoia in that energy. Defensive. And it just don't hit the same. Maybe that those types of environments had their rewards at a time, but now it's like the payout is not the same. And people are having a rude awakening to that truth and being faced with the reality, no longer being able to delude themselves, that 7 of Cups, or elude themselves or others even about what they can, about concessions and compromises that can be made to exchange whatever reward was reverenced beyond the discomfort. It doesn't balance out anymore, and it won't. There's never going to be a time where it's going to level out to any resemblance of what it ever was before, and certainly not going to get any better as long as this is still the energy. There's no productivity or prosperity in that. Not really. Not in the frequency that I'm speaking of. Friendly competition, perhaps. But even being in a friend group where it's so-called friendly competition is questionable now, because there is a such thing as just, being motivated by one another's success, even being inspired, but even that lighthearted, like, oh, such and such doing this, all right, we got to do this, or I got to do that, like trying to keep up with the Joneses energy is not, it's not it. It's not it. And it's never going to be it again. Not as long as we live. I hope it never is it ever again, as I live and breathe. And here it is, the King of Wands. Now that's the energy that I like to see in taking control, self-control, primarily. And making productive, not even making productive choices, but taking productive action. That's what this is giving. Let's see. And here's the Moon card again up underneath here. I'm going to put that in the middle because when I shuffle, oh, but here's the 6 of Swords. Yeah, that's the invitation to move forward, to cross that chaotic water to some more peaceful shore. Like again, this is still someone being caught up in contention. And if you like that sort of thing, then, you know, by all means, have it your way. But imagine being in a place and space where you are constantly having to defend yourself, defend your actions, your intentions, your possessions, your energy, your time, perhaps your resources and money. That's this right here. Even your own damn thoughts. Like, this is jumping off. This is like an escalation from the Five of Wands, where I said, like, it's never going to get better than that. It'll never mellow out, and the reward will never outweigh the sacrifice. And this is giving someone, to me, is really the disparity here between maturity, of being of a ripe age, and energetic makeup, meaning you know better at the King of Wands, but still potentially choosing from a lower frequency, or from, I hear lust, or obsession, a fear of missing out. These are things that are coming up. Wanting to be of immediate gratification. Again, as I was saying before, being afraid of what's being lost in the move forward, and just growing up, you know what I mean? Taking this responsibility and accountability for you in all the best ways, like, you know, literally taking creative control over your life. That's too many. I had gained so much control over these cards when they got old. Now I'm like a newborn baby. All right, we got the Justice and the Hermit, and I'm about to wrap this thing up. Yeah, like, this is the only way forward is in. That's what that's given, simply put. The only justifiable move ahead or course of action is for someone to go within, and now even beyond that, or maybe, you know, connected to that Hangman card that we saw earlier, is to surrender to what the righteous resonance of that internal light is directing towards, or is pointing toward. Because it's given that somebody or some people have been listening too much to what everybody else has got to say, or what every other projection in their life is leading them to, or pointing them to. Society, family, friends, social media, you know, pop culture, partners, business, or romantic. It's like someone being extremely influenced by everything else in their lives but the light within themselves. that's the pitfall, the dissonance of the highest vibration that I was on when I started this message, which is really just about encouraging anyone that resonates with taking, or even that is contemplating with having a grand choice to make for their best interest, to do so with courage. I guess this is in the same vein, but we went dark here, maybe perhaps to just illustrate the consequences when you don't. Maybe. I don't love that word, consequences. Maybe the possibilities. It is quite consequential, though. I mean, just the Nine of Swords alone, sleepless nights, having no peace and resolve in your choices, is like torturous. It is like a mental prison, you know? Okay. Confirmation. You know, not being able to trust yourself because you're too busy checking in, or just too careful or mindful of what everything outside of you has to say about you or to you, or what that's why that Eight of Cups is, in the way that I was speaking about it in the beginning, is so profound, because like I was saying, what stuck out to me most intuitively is it being someone that doesn't even care to explain themselves. They don't see the point. They don't want to waste the energy. They don't foresee there being an understanding or an acceptance or a reward. You know, and for me, like, I'm not condoning leaving unfinished business, like just Dear John and somebody, you know, unless, I don't know, like, I can't even speak on it because energies are wild right now. So maybe if it's for your, again, emotional and psychological well-being, maybe you do have to leave in the middle of the night to get away from a crazy situation. I don't know. That's up to your discernment, but I'm not condoning or supporting unfinished business that can ultimately come follow you wherever you are. You know what I mean? Like, I do support closing cycles with intention. However, what we're talking about here is the difference between, again, that Eight of Cups, where somebody's like, this is what I'm doing, my mind's made up, and there's no turning back. And there's sincerity there. There is settlement. There is self-awareness and understanding and security. Even all of that is mixed up in that ideal. But the other side of that is literally just relinquishing control over your well-being to something else or someone else or somewhere else that ultimately doesn't really have jurisdiction over that right unless you surrender it. And here is the Ace of Swords. So there's something important about this message. You know, I was excited to see, you know, the Eight. Well, I can't say it was exciting because the Eight of Cups is like one of those cards where it just depends on the direction that someone is heading, their intentions for why they're going the way they're going and what they're leaving behind, and even really the spirit and psychological frequency that they're in, with it being Cups energy. And again, as I said, it's the Knight of Cups that came after that one, which still is not fully bloomed in terms of emotional maturity. So there's something to be desired in someone's confidence and security in choosing themselves. Maybe in a lot of someone's, and maybe still in some of us that have taken certain leaps of faith. Maybe this serves as just, an extra affirmation to keep moving in that direction. With the Chariot card here, keep facing forward, where you may be tempted to backtrack and to revisit old dynamics and old connections and things that were familiar and thoughtful, that maybe after some time has passed, things might just be different, and you would hope, you would wish, but you're headed in a certain direction for a very specific purpose. And in this season, I would say that there's really not a lot of backtracking that is going to be profitable and prosperous in a new way that it wasn't before. Now, if someone's now meeting you on the path, and you know on that forward march that you're already proceeding in, that's different. If two paths align and cross in a new space and time and are aligned in that way. But for you to singularly return back to something that was familiar with hopes that it might be evolved is a slim to none chance. That could ultimately just end up being a setback, a disappointment, a distraction, a deterrent, or worse. That Five of Wands is what is the conflict that exists in the past for most things, and in many places and amongst most people, that some have already disconnected from. And it's no shade to the past, because hell, the conflict may not arise until you reintroduce yourself into that space or place or dynamic. It may just not be for you. It could function perfectly fine for whomever, exists in it, or however it exists on its own. But there's something to be said about that Eight of Cups leading this message and being affirmed of your forward movement. And as long as it is in sincerity and in truth, and with the prioritization of your spiritual wellness, then that's always going to be the optimum direction to continue on. So we got the Ace of Swords. Let's see what's under that. And then we close now. Moving forward. Yeah. The Six of Swords. That's where your peace is. Wherever you're headed to next. If you haven't made the decision to and this could be mentally, because this is a lot of sword energy too, mentally and emotionally. It doesn't even have to be physical, but it certainly may require some physical action to secure this ideal, and what that is better than I could rattle down a list. You know exactly what that is, if it's not something that has already been established, or what it was, and that being something that needs to, that gets to be affirmed in this moment, or what, it could be as a possibility to explore. It could never hurt to try and see if there's some change that may occur. Again, if there is any experience of anxiety or discomfort, then there's definitely an invitation for a shift or realignment. But if you're feeling like, you're on your way, there's always, right in the middle of this transition here, there's always the temptation to look back and to consider, well, maybe I left something, or maybe maybe somebody else will want to come with me, or, when you're out in the middle of the ocean and it's cold and dark and mystical. But really consider like how far you've already come at this point and exactly what has gotten you there. 9 times out of 10, it wouldn't be beneficial for you or anyone or anything that you could think of behind you to turn around now. So if you're going, you're well, within your rights on that journey. If you haven't gotten up yet, you might want to start thinking about it. And shoot, if you're content in chaos and complacent in commotion, then by all means, again, have it your way. But I think this is a little bit of something for everybody, no matter where you are in this message. Take it as you will and as it resonates. But in the highest frequency, definitely be encouraged in Godspeed to just keep moving forward. Because with the Chariot card here and the Justice and the Hermit, you're doing something right. You're doing something well. And you're probably closer to your so-called promised land, or at least that ideal, that landmark of achievement, that really kind of gives that sense of accomplishment. Not that it's the end all be all, but that point that makes you feel like, yeah, I've come a long way, or I've even made it, if that's how you like to feel. And even if there's more to go, you're probably closer to that right now where you are, moving forward, than you've ever been before. So be encouraged and stay the course. All right. Thank you for listening and watching. Much love and Godspeed to you again on your travels in spirit and in truth. And until next time, as always, I leave you with peace.